And then the third one is Master Chief off the heels of the Halo ring escaping, realizing, oh, the Covenant have a giant plan to invade Earth. They've discovered Earth's location. They plan on taking a giant armada to Earth soon, but they're all docking at a specific space dock to get ready for the invasion. And Master Chief and his Spartans realize this plan. They go to destroy the space station. Dr. Halsey, which is the creator of the Spartan program, joins them after the fall of Reach. She finds out some cool information. She takes one of the Spartans with her on a secret mission while the others go and take down this giant armada of Covenant forces. They succeed because it's the first strike, because it's Master Chief and they always win. And we're kind of left in the dark of, okay, well, what happened after they took down the Covenant armada? What happened to Dr. Halsey and the Spartan she took with her? And that's kind of where it's left, on a cliffhanger like that. And then we get to this gem called Halo Ghosts of Onyx. And I've got to say, I really enjoyed this book. I think Ghosts of Onyx and First Strike are about neck and neck. I give this like a solid 8.5, 9 out of 10. Like, it's really, really great book. You're not following Master Chief. Like, Master Chief is only mentioned in this book. So if you are wanting a Halo book that doesn't talk about Master Chief and kind of talks about some of the other Spartans and what's going on with the Spartan 3s, this is the book for you. Basically, if you've played through the Halo games, you're aware of, like, there's Spartan 1's, the Orion Project. Spartan 2's, Master Chief and his group. Spartan 3's, and then later on Spartan 4's. Well, this book covers the creation and idea for the Spartan 3 program. So, like how the book The Fall of Reach was one of my favorites, how it talked about the Spartan 2 program, who created it, how are they made, how are they trained, and all of circumstances surrounding that. Ghost of Onyx does that for the Spartan 3 program. It's the creation story for the Spartan 3s. And if I know there's like a big debate about like which is better, Spartan 2s or Spartan 3s. I think they're both great and for different reasons. We find out that the Spartan 3s are only bred for suicide missions. Spartan 2s are supposed to be the super soldier, the superhero, like get things done, make the impossible happen. Spartan 3s are supposed to do that, but also they only go on missions they know they're going to die in, which is like a weird dichotomy. It's like they're a super soldier, but dang, like the missions they go on are not fun, because that even the book opening is a group of 300 Spartan 3s taking on a Covenant fuel refinery on like a local moon or something on one of the planets. All but 2 of those 300 Spartans dies in that mission. And that's how the book opens, is these 300 Spartan 3s. Remember, these are Spartan 3s. So one of the other things to take in consideration, they don't have the same kind of armor that the Spartan 2s have. The Spartan 2s have like this, it's called Mjolnir armor. So referencing Thor and his hammer and all that. A lot of Norse mythology, a lot of Greek mythology in the Halo series, which I love. I love Greek mythology. So like, I think that's one of the reasons why I've always really enjoyed the Halo series, is because, like, one, they're called Spartans. Greek history is where that's where I can just sink my teeth in and just read almost anything about the Greek culture, history, and philosophy, dichotomy, just anything about the Greek culture. That's where I shine. I love it so much. And they, like, one of the things in the book series is the Spartans learn about the Greek Spartans, the 300. So if any of you have seen the movie 300, you'll know that's based off of the 300 Spartans that went against Persian emperor or Persian king. I guess technically he was considered an emperor at that time, because he had conquered most of the known world by then. Them taking on Xerxes' army, and they were able to hold off the Persians long enough for other Greek reinforcements to come in, but they all did die. And so that's kind of where the Spartans get their godlike status in a lot of people's minds, is just them being like bigger than life. And the idea of how the Spartans were raised is also, let me also hold on before I keep going. I'm realizing I want some music. Basically, the Spartans are trained, like our Spartans in the Halo universe are trained the same way with modern, of course, modern updates. They're trained the same way the Spartans in ancient Greece were trained. They were taken from they were like 5 years old when they're taken and started their Spartan training. They're indoctrinated. They are groomed for battle. They are hardened warriors. And of course, with the modern enhancements and technology, they're able to basically make them a super soldier. And like they are super effective because they have enhanced sight, they have enhanced thought process, they have enhanced reflexes, and just muscle tissue. Like everything is giant and crazy strong about them. And that's kind of the idea of the Spartan 3 program, is to emulate that, but faster and cheaper. That's what we realized throughout this book is we have kind of, I don't even know if you'd call him the main antagonist, because he doesn't like Dr. Halsey. He does this person. I'm not even going to say his name because it's not worth it. He always has despised Dr. Halsey's, I forget her name. Spartan 2s, because they're so much better than his ODST, which is the what are they called? Outer shock troop something. Basically they're shock troopers and they jump out of things, and they're part of the army, and he's in charge of that program. But he realizes the Spartans are way better than his shock troopers. Which is funny. And so he's like, well, I'm just going to make my own Spartans then. And that's kind of what he does. He's like, I'm going to make the Spartans cheaper and more of them without the same parameters. Because some of the parameters that the Spartan 2s had to undergo was their specific genetic markers that they are supposed to meet in order to become Spartan 2s. In the Spartan 3 program, they lacks a lot of those genetic markers because the technology has evolved and is updated, and they're able to kind of counteract some of the negative genetic markers that the Spartan 2 program was not able to counteract yet. But also they don't have as great armor. Their armor is very cheaply made. So like the Spartan 2s are like Greek gods, and Spartan 3s, they're Greek gods and paper mache armor. It's no comparison, really. I mean, the thought process and the training is very similar, but a lot of the other things surrounding the Spartan 3 program was just not done well, in my opinion. Part of the problem with the Halo 3 or the Spartan 3 program is that, yes, they were taken at the same age as the Spartan 2s, but they were forced to grow up faster. Like the Spartan 2s, I think, had their augmentations at like 18. Spartan 3s had them at like 12. And so like these 12-year-olds are like giant human beings with enhanced strength, enhanced bone structure, enhanced mental, like cognitive thinking skills, and they're 12, man. Like it's crazy to think about when as far as like eugenics and genetics, like genetic research, like how far away is the Halo universe? Because in the Halo books it takes place at 2500 years, so 2500. So we're at 2023. What would that be like in 2025, when this book more or less kind of like the book series takes place? I mean, that'd be so cool, but also like, what would you have to undergo for that? So that's, I don't know. Those are questions that hopefully, like most of the time the reader is like, I don't know if I agree with this, but I also know that without the Spartan program, all of humanity would be dead. So a lot, like, of course, throughout all of the Halo series, the main question is, does the greater good outweigh, or do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? Is it right to do bad things for the greater good? Does it do the bad things you have to do condone the good things that the other things are going to bring about? Like basically abducting children and indoctrinating them and making them super soldiers at the age of 12 and sending them off basically to go die. But humanity as a whole will be saved. I know a lot of people will probably be like, yeah, it's worth it. And then other people will be like, let humanity burn. I don't know. I think I'm somewhere in the middle where I understand the reason for it, but it doesn't mean I like it or agree with it. And that's kind of the overarching like theme is there are some people in the book who at one point in time they're like, yes, the greater good outweighs the needs of the few. But then they change their mind, namely Dr. Hawsley. She's the one who created the Spartan 2 program. And like throughout this book, she's like, I've made a mistake. I need to protect these Spartans. I need to protect my kids because like this is not okay. Like they're dying and they're being like, what was the word she used? They're basically slaves, and it's not fair because they didn't choose this. We chose this for them, and now they don't know anything else, and it's my fault. And so she's dealing with a lot of guilt, a lot of regret. But I don't know. That's just like her little side story of like you get to see her thought process of like, I've made a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. But if I hadn't done this, humanity would already be dead. And she's like, I don't know. This is not okay. I shouldn't have done this. So kind of like brief overview, like just kind of like a, 70,000 look view of the book overall. Like more or less, like I said, the story starts out with a group of Spartan 3s going to a fuel refining depot, and basically 300 Spartans are taken out where there's only like 2 left of that mission. And that's the opening. That's the first glimpse we get to at this point of Spartan 3s, because in the first 3 books it's all about the Spartan 2s, and now we're like, oh, okay, Spartan 3s, there's 300 of them Spartans, and they just got annihilated. And then you realize, like, it kind of flashes back to Lieutenant, or what's his name? Lieutenant Kurt. No. That's the Spartan 2. My bad. Ackerson. Oh yeah, Ackerson. Basically, after the battle, we flash back to like, I don't know, like 10 years or so, roughly 10, 15 years. To Colonel, whatever his face is like going to the higher ups and saying, hey, I think we need more Spartans, but we need to, I can make them cheaper. I can make them faster, and they'll be just as effective. But we're basically just going to send the like cannon fodder. Like we're just going to overwhelm the enemy with numbers. And the higher ups at the, ONI, which is this kind of the spy secret ops organization's like, okay, we'll do it. And so basically he makes a plan to kidnap one of the Spartan 2s, Kurt, to help train the Spartan 3s, and also one of the other officers who helped train the Spartan 2s originally, he's also recruited him for the Spartan 3 program. And they found a planet that's basically not been inhabited. It's off everyone's radars. It's completely secret. And that's where they are going to go train the Spartan 3s. And that's kind of where the story starts. It's like, okay, we're thrust into hundreds of Spartans just needlessly dying, and the reason behind their needlessly dying is they didn't have the best equipment. Like, plain and simple, he's making Spartans faster and cheaper, which unfortunately means children, like 12-year-old, like some of these Spartans who were in this combat situation were 12. That opening was like, I mean, it's not like the most rough thing that I've ever read, but I was like, dang, Spartans. But they accomplished their mission, and that was the objective. So also, like, we also get kind of viewpoint of the Spartan 3s getting their augmentations as well, but there's a little bit of a different type of augmentation, and that's because Kurt, the Spartan 2 in charge of training the Spartan 3s, is like, I'm going to give them an edge because no one else is giving them an edge. They're going through all of this crap, getting crappy armor, getting crappy everything else. I'm going to get, like, he basically was like, I'm going to give them an edge, which was an experimental concoction of drugs that's supposed to make them more aggressive. So basically he's like, okay, if you're not going to have the best armor, I'm going to make you more aggressive and make you even tougher to kill. So that's kind of like his I guess, contribution to the Spartan 3s, because he starts feeling the same way as Dr. Halsey, because he's like, what are we doing? These are kids, like, this is not okay. And you get his like side of things, him being a Spartan 2, so him going through all of the things that he's already gone through, and then he's forced to train other Spartans. And so you get to see things from his point of view of, well, I know we need them, but man, is this right? Should we be doing this? And kind of getting that, like, get just completely different perspective than the other 3 books, because most people are like, Master Chief, loving only talking about Master Chief, where in this story we really kind of go through Kurt, which is a Spartan 2 who was on Master Chief's team at one point in time, his perspective on things and how he thinks about the Spartans and how he thinks about the different responsibilities of, are we responsible to humanity's survival, or should I keep my Spartan 3s like safe, and they've already been through so much and they're just gonna go die needlessly. So during training at one point in time, kind of the catalyst for the rest of the book is during a training op, some Spartan 3s went missing in an area called Zone 67. And that area was zoned off for a few years, and then all of a sudden during a training exercise for the Spartan 3s before the next batch of Spartan 3s, so the first 300 batch gone, they're doing another 300 batch, so they're doing this like 300 batches. Oh, I wonder why 300. 300 Spartans, yeah, that's not on the nose at all. So they are on a training exercise, and then all of a sudden these drones just pop up out of nowhere and start attacking the Spartans and start attacking the entire world. And so they're just like, what the heck's going on? What's happened? But also during that time, if any of you are familiar with the games, which I really like, where it kind of shows you where the Spartan 3s are in reference to the bigger picture. I like that stuff. I like knowing what's going on at the same time that this is going on. Apparently this is the point, if you've played the games, I think this is in Halo 2. I think it's 2. It's either 2 or 3. Basically the Covenant Civil War has started, and a second Halo ring has been found, and the Flood is starting to win, and the Covenant is kind of just all in shambles. And this is when Cortana sends a distress signal out, like Cortana and Master Chief send out a distress signal saying, we found another Halo ring. The Covenant is here. We're all gonna die. Please send help. But then also Dr. Halsey gets that same message. Well, backtracking. So all that's going on. Dr. Halsey, doing her side quest from the previous book, finds out about the Spartan 3 program, takes her Spartan 2 that she kidnapped to the planet where the Spartan 3s are, and it's like, oh, well, looks like they're in trouble and they need help. So they decide to help, but during the same time that Master Chief and Cortana send out a distress signal, Dr. Halsey sends out a distress signal saying, this planet Onyx is under attack. We have Forerunner technology, and Forerunner technology is basically what the Halo creators were. Forerunners are what the race of beings that created the Halo system are. Super technologically advanced, super smart, super just amazing. All of the amazing things. and she sends out the signal saying, we found Forerunner technology. It could help turn the tide of the war. Send Spartans. And so that's kind of in the book where it's like, okay, the basically, meanwhile, all that's going on, the Covenant did invade Earth, but they have been pushed back by the Spartans. And so this is also like the Covenant Civil War has just started as well. So Covenant are fighting each other. The humans are fighting the Covenant. The Flood is here. So it's just like all crazy kinds of mess. And thankfully, because Earth has been able to push back the Covenant, one of the operatives or one of the main higher ups is like, okay, send the Spartan team to Onyx, which is the planet that the Spartan 3s are being trained on. And so that's kind of where we kind of go into Spartan 2 territory, where they kind of do some flashbacks and talk about like, I wonder if any of the other Spartan 2s are alive. I miss Kurt because he's thought to be dead because he was kidnapped. And so a couple of people from Blue Team, which was in the, if you've read us talking about the third book, the First Strike, Blue Team is Master Chief's team. He's kind of their leader, but Blue Team is his team. And so they are sent to Onyx to aid the Spartan 3s and aid Dr. Halsey and aid all of, Kurt and everyone there to try and help keep the planet, with that from destroying everything on there. During all of that, the Covenant realize about planet Onyx, and they also show up. And so it's just a big battle of like, oh my God, are we going to win? How are we going to get off this planet? What are we going to do? And of course, if you've played the game, meanwhile, Master Chief and Cortana are probably in the clutches of the Hive Mind and on Halo D, I think. And that's when the Arbiter and Master Chief are like, we need to work together. Yeah, because this thing's going to destroy everything. Well, why are we working with the Flood? And the Flood's like, I don't want to get destroyed either. It's like, let's work together. But of course, there's backstabbing later on. If you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. So all of that like is going, which the book doesn't really talk about. Like the book does not talk about the game like really at all, besides that little distress signal and like, where's John? Is John alive? Which is Master Chief. And I like that. I really like that. I know some other people really don't like it or like stuff like that because it doesn't give you a context into into the main character of the Halo stories, which is Master Chief. It's like, well, he's just mentioned. He's not even in the book. It's like, that's okay. We get a lot of him in the first few games. I'm okay with this. The books are supposed to amplify the games, so I'm good with that. So of course the Spartan 2s get there. They're like, oh my gosh, there are more Spartans, but you're not like us. And the Spartan 3s are like, I don't like you either. And so there's kind of like this tension there, but thankfully they're able to basically work through their differences and work together to find kind of an escape. It's not really an escape from planet Onyx. They're just like taken into an inner room in the planet Onyx, which honestly is found out to not really even be a actual normal planet. It's a planet full of the Sentinels and the drones that are attacking them. The planet is completely comprised of these drones because it's supposed to protect the inhabitants of that planet from the Halo ring destroying all of creation. And so that's something that they find out on their end, and we get a little bit of snippets from the game, like kind of understanding where the book kind of is in reference to relative to where the game is at some point in time, which is really fun. I really enjoyed it overall, which I also think was funny because like the Sentinels also destroyed the Covenant because like basically we realized that the Sentinels were activated because of the destruction of the first Halo ring. And so that's why all of a sudden the Sentinels, like after 20 years of doing nothing, are like, we must kill everything, all of the things. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. I really enjoyed how the book kind of put everything in perspective. It tied some loose ends up on some of the other Halo books. I think it did it really nicely. It gave you some backstory. It gave you some references to the other books and kind of what's happening in the wider, galaxy. We get a little bit of the Covenant inner workings with some of. So I think we follow a couple of different ship captains while they're like, oh my gosh, the Covenant is in turmoil. Like, we're having a civil war. What side do we join? Who started the civil war? Why is there a civil war? What's going on? Where are our leaders? Which I enjoyed that. Like, I don't think we needed a whole bunch of Covenant story going on. Like, I'm perfectly fine with just the little paragraphs or two of, well, this person, did this with these this fleet of ships. So yeah, I give the book about a 8.5, 9. Like, I really enjoyed it. I think I like it just about as much as I like First Strike. So highly recommend the book.